Well, as you can see, I've been studying music for most of my life. I started out very young, so I should know something by now that I can pass on to you, especially since I've had the privilege of knowing and studying under some of the brightest people in the world when it comes to music. However, the more you learn, the more you start to realize just how little you really know. I studied music for 14 years with Mr. Frank Ross, who had one of the largest accordion schools in Detroit, Michigan in the 1930s and 40s. I believe he started studying music in 1915. He also played the accordion for different radio programs early on when radio was very popular. He lived to be almost 101 years old, and he was my friend for over 30 years. I met the great maestro Anthony Gallerini when I was 18, and was good friends with him for over 25 years. He was truly an amazing man. He literally played the accordion for over 95 years. Mr. Gallerini lived to be 102 years old. He taught, lectured, arranged, composed, and played the accordion, I believe, longer than anyone who has ever lived. And many believe he contributed more to the accordion than anyone who has ever lived. He began performing on stage in vaudeville as early as 1911. He had perfect pitch and could play several instruments, but he chose the accordion as his favorite instrument. He played before President Woodrow Wilson. He was the first to compose and arrange serious music for the accordion. He performed at Carnegie Hall twice in his career and also performed throughout Europe. He played with several symphonic orchestras over the years, composed concertos for the accordion, and recorded for several record companies. He knew a lot of famous people in the entertainment industry and appeared in and played background music for many famous motion pictures, including High Noon with Gary Cooper, Rhapsody in Blue, Hans Christian Andersen, The Road to Rio with Bob Hope, The Horn Blows at Midnight with Jack Benny. He also knew Jack Benny from vaudeville long before Jack Benny started in radio. He also played in the movie The Sting 2, to mention just a few. Mr. Gallerini was one of the original founders of the American Accordionists Association. They were the ones who determined how accordion music should be scored, among many other things. Mr. Gallerini also helped standardize the stradilla system, which is the left-hand keyboard of the traditional piano accordion. My accordion teacher, Mr. Frank Ross, met Mr. Anthony Gallerini back in the 1940s. I used to love to ask Mr. Gallerini questions about music for hours on end. He was a very interesting person to talk to, and lived only a few miles from our home. He knew a great deal about music, and he used to call me up every once in a while to help him find original musical scores that he wanted to make arrangements of for the accordion. When I was a teenager, my father and I started to collect old 78 records, cylinders, phonographs, old radios, and automated instruments. This is the first automated instrument that we bought. There were about 5 of us that worked for several months restoring this 1905 Philips Pianella Nickelodeon. Some people also refer to this as an orchestrelle. Later on, when I was in my 20s, my father and I restored this 1904 Aeolian self-playing reed organ. Before we knew it, we had quite a collection of music, so we started giving musical tours in the early 1980s. I would give lectures on the history of recorded sound and demonstrate and play several of our records, phonographs, and machines. We had thousands of people visit our home over the years, including the personal musician for the King and Queen of Spain. Here's just a sample of the different kinds of records that were made over the years. This is a picture of a wooden horn Victor phonograph from the early 1900s. This is a 1914 Edison cylinder phonograph that plays 4-minute cylinders. And this is a picture of one of the first phonographs to be powered by electricity back in 1914, when most people didn't even have electricity in their homes yet. I was completely surprised and honored to be included in the 1984-85 National Dean's List. It's the most prestigious publication in the country recognizing academically gifted students. Later on, I found out that only 1/2% of our nation's college students receive this award. So it was a great honor to receive this award as a music student while attending United States International University. I received my bachelor's degree in music in 1987 from United States International University. During my college years, I had several brilliant teachers, all of which had doctor's degrees in music from different countries. This is a picture of myself and Dr. Sophie Siegel, who received her doctor's degree in music from Russia. This is a picture of another one of my professors from USIU, Dr. Walter Torch, who received his doctor's degree in music from Germany, and is the most knowledgeable person I have ever met when it comes to anything about music. Another one of my professors was Dr. Mary Phillips, who received her doctor's degree in music from here in the United States. Her doctor's degree was in music history. This is a picture of the famous Zoltán Raznyé from Hungary, who was the conductor of our school's international orchestra, which had students from all over the world that played in the USIU orchestra. I used to go each afternoon to listen in on their rehearsals and learned a lot about what conductors do. He was an amazing person. I remember one time the pianist didn't show up for rehearsals, so he sat down at the piano and played the piece perfectly, the very first time, without any practicing beforehand, just at the spur of the moment, and conducted from the piano. He was a student of Bela Bartok, worked with Leonard Bernstein, and was the former conductor of the San Diego Symphony from 1967 to 1971. Once he told the pianist, just before the concert that night, "If you get lost, whatever you do, don't stop. Just keep going, and we'll catch up with you." After I married my wife, Carol, we started to do a lot of traveling and had a chance to visit a lot of musical places. Here's a picture of the famous Carnegie Hall in New York, where Gallerini played in 1958 and 1959. This is a picture of the home where Mozart was born. It's in Salzburg, the fourth largest city in Austria. Mozart was born here on a Tuesday, January 27th, 1756. We also had a chance to visit Beethoven's grave in Vienna. Also the grave of Johannes Brahms. There are several famous composers buried in this graveyard in Vienna, Austria. We also had a chance to visit the home of Johann Strauss the Younger. His home was in Vienna, and this is not only a picture of his home, but here's a picture of his piano as well. He was the composer of the Blue Danube Waltz and many other famous waltzes. And this is the writing desk where he composed the famous Blue Danube Waltz in 1867.